You spend hours making your animation, and when you finally render it and play it back, it feels off, and you can't really name it until someone else's animation pops and you are spent. Well, this is because they use this one simple trick which takes their animations from this to this. Today I will show you exactly how you can achieve this look, which will help your animation stand out from the rest. Alright, so this is the animation on which we are going to work on. We will make this animation as addictive as possible. I will just right click it and open it in the Fusion page, and these are all the nodes I use to animate this animation. So the very first thing we can notice is this frame is too much boring. There is nothing much going on here. So what we can do is we can add some extra elements like these stars I have added. Since I have added a star here, to balance this frame I added another star right here. Now the animation looks better but still looks incomplete, so I added more elements like the star, but still this background and all the stuff are just solid plain color. To fix that, I will go to the background node. Right now it's just solid blue color. To fix that, I will go to color type and add gradient to it. In my case, I will add 4 corners, and by default it will be black, but I have already set the color for each of them. Now one thing you have to keep in mind while adding the colors here, you have to make sure that all the colors go well with each other. For example, if I add complete dark red or yellow, it doesn't go well with this frame, so I will just keep it like purple or maybe blue. Looks nice. So you have to make sure each color complements each other and they blend well with each other. We have gradient in our background, but we can move further and add gradient to our eye, so we can add more depth to it by, so this is the color of the eye. If I change this color, as you can see, the eye color also changes. So this is now solid white, and now to add more depth I will go to color type and change this to gradient. By default it will be linear, and I want linear, and here you will see 2 points on the viewer. This point is black color and this point is white color. So I will place this white color on the top and put this below somewhere here. So now we have some depth here, and here's the before and after, much better. Now similarly I can add gradient or iris here. I will go to this node which adds color to the iris. I will go to the color type and then hit gradient. I have already adjusted this, so as you can see, this is before adding gradient and this is after adding gradient. Much better. Now we are added gradient and all that stuff to our animation, and it looks perfect. It has some more depth. Now to add more depth to our animation, we can add shadows and all that stuff. For example, if I go here, we can add shadows. I can add a shadow to this eye here. I have already added a shadow node, and I can also add a shadow to our iris, which will give more dynamic look to our animation. Okay, now we have done with our basic stuff like adding gradient, shadows and all that stuff. Now we will move on to our next step, which is adding effects, which will actually make your animation better. Before moving on, if you don't want to waste your time adding all these effects manually, you can just use RystalPopPro by Rystal. It's a drag and drop preset which you can add on your clip, and it will do all the heavy lifting for you, and it's really customizable. I can increase the saturation, decrease the brightness, reduce the grain size. I can do that too. I can reduce the grain intensity. I can add a vignette, and there is more to it, and it's really customizable. I personally use this effect a lot, and if you don't want to waste your time, I have linked this preset down in the description. You can just download it and try it for yourself. Now let's continue. So for that, I have already rendered this same exact animation here, so we don't face any lag in the process of adding effects. I will open this rendered animation in the Fusion page. So here's our media in one, which is our animation. Now the first thing what I do after adding this gradient, I add textures. Textures are a thing which you won't notice in many of the animation, but you can definitely feel it when it's missing. My favorite site to get textures is Texture Lab. I will go here and search light leak. So I will check which one is more interesting. Okay, I like this texture, so I will just go here, and you will find different resolution to download. I will just go with 1920 by 1280. Okay, so I will import this texture in DaVinci Resolve and drag it to our main node tree here. I will just rename it to light lake texture. I will connect this texture to our media one with a merge node. Now a big question arises how you actually apply this texture correctly. I have seen many people, they just go and reduce the opacity, but that's not how it works. So to apply this texture correctly, you have to select this merge node and go into the apply mode and see which one looks best on your animation. So I will just go to every apply mode and check which one is best. In my case, lighten apply mode works the best, I think, and if it's too harsh, you can just reduce the gain a little, but don't do it too much. After this, if you want, you can add more textures, but I think one texture is enough. Now after this texture, I will add a grain node, add this noisy look or animation, but it's too harsh right now. So I will just go into the inspector panel and reduce the power to maybe 2, and I will reduce the green size to 0.5. And the rest of the setting you can change, like the color differences, like the red color difference or the green color difference or the blue color difference. You can play with these settings, like the grain softness or the grain spacing, the aspect ratio. You can just play with it and see what's best for your animation. Okay, after this grain node, I want to add depth of field in this animation. What this basically means is it will just blur out the things which are not in the focus. In my case, the eye is in the focus, so I will add a blur node after the grain node, and I will increase the blur size to maybe 15, and I will add a ellipse mask to our blur node. And in the ellipse mask setting, I will check the invert option and increase the soft edges to 0.05. Now in the viewer, I will adjust this mask so it only covers eye like this. Alright, perfect. Now to add more depth, I will just add a vignette node after the blur node. It just darkens the edges. Now in a vignette node, the size control the size of the vignette. I will just increase it a bit. Dynamorphism controls the vignette on the side, so I will increase it a little. And the softness just controls the softness, and the color just decide the color of the vignette. I will just go and change the color to really dark blue. Okay, after the vignette node, we will add a chromatic aberration to our animation. Chromatic aberration separates the red, blue and green channels of the animation. You can notice chromatic aberration in high quality motion graphics at the edges. So we will do the same. So to find chromatic aberration in Fusion, you have to go in the effects panel, and here you have to search chromatic aberration. But I think this is only for the studio version of DaVinci Resolve. For the free version of DaVinci Resolve, you can just add 2 transform nodes after the vignette, and we will name one red and name the other transform node blue. Now I will just go to the red transform node and go to the settings and disable every process except the red. And for the blue transform node, I will just go and disable everything except the blue one. Now I will just select the center and press expression for any of the node, and I will press Ctrl and select the another node which is named blue. And I will just take this plus and drag it on the blue node here and connect it to the center of our blue transform node, and select any of this node and check the invert transform option in the control setting. I'll go to the blue transform node. Now I'll go to the blue transform node and increase the center value by a little bit, only a little, and you can see the chromatic aberration like this. But this doesn't look that good, so I will just suggest you to get a chromatic aberration plugin for the free version of DaVinci Resolve. For example, I have this macro which is XF Chroma Fuse 1. So this is just a reactor plugin. If you don't know about reactor is a plugin which has thousands of macros in it which you can get for free. I will connect this Chroma Fuse node here after the vignette, and here I will increase the size by very little. So we have this nice little chromatic aberration, as you can see, which looks really nice. So after the chromatic aberration, I will add lens distort effect after the chromatic aberration, and in the lens distort, I will go to the lens distort model and increase the distortion value to 0.15. Alright, perfect. But we are not done yet, because if we play our animation, we will notice that it's static. There is no movement. There's just this eye opening animation and all that stuff. So to add more movement to our animation, we can add a transform node after everything. So we can add transform node after everything, and I will just go to frame 0, keyframes, size parameter, and go to last frame, and I will increase the size by very little. You don't want to make it too noticeable. And I will also add a camera shake node, so I will just press shift space bar and add a camera shake node. So in the camera shake node, I will just reduce the overall strength to maybe 0.1, and I will reduce the speed to 0.05. Okay, now if we check, as you can see, we have little movement going on to our whole animation. But right now the camera shake is too much, so I will just reduce the overall strength to 0.05, and I will also reduce this X deviation to 0.07. Same with the Y, 0.07, and with the rotation 0.07. Now if we play back our animation, the camera shake is there, but it's not too noticeable, which is perfect. There is one more node I forgot to add, is soft glow. So before everything, I will add a soft no glow, and here in the soft glow, I will increase the threshold value. So by increasing the threshold value, you're telling the soft glow node to only affect the brighter part of the animations. If I increase it, it it will only affect the brighter part of the animation instead of everything. I'll increase this to 0.7 and I will reduce the gain to 1.5 and I will just increase the glow to 100 and I will reduce the blend to 0.6. Now I'll just copy this soft glow node and paste it again, and this time I will increase the gain to 2, increase the threshold to 0.8 and reduce the glow size to 30 and reduce the blend to 0.5. We'll just add a bloom to our animation, or a dreamy look to our animation, which looks really good. Now if your animation still looks plain and boring even after adding all these effects, well, that's because we are missing one important thing, that is color grading. Without color grading, your animation will just look lifeless. So we'll just add a brightness and contrast node. This will give us access to control the color, gain, and all that stuff. Now if you want, you can just go to the color page and do color grading, but many of you guys don't know how to use color page, all the settings, which is fine because I also don't know how to use these all settings that much. I'll just use the brightness and contrast node in the fusion page. So here in the fusion page, you don't want to add this brightness and contrast node after every effect, because if you know how fusion works, these nodes are like layers. So this is our animation. So this is the first node, which is glow, then the second glow will apply to our animation, then the texture, then the grain, then the blur, then the vignette, then the chromatic aberration, then the lens distort, then the transform node. And if we add our brightness and contrast node after everything, this node will start affecting these all nodes, which we don't want. For example, if I increase the contrast, you can see the grain is also started affecting, which we don't want. So I will just reset this and we will put this brightness and contrast at the very beginning, so it doesn't affect our other effect which we have added. Now I will increase the contrast to maybe 0.3 and I will just increase the saturation by very little. Here's how to play with this setting, and here's the quick before and after. Now after adding all this node, your animation should look very addictive and stunning to look, but there are more effects which are exceptional. If you want, you can add them. For example, the waviness node, this just adds waviness to your animation. I'll just increase the scale, reduce the strength, and I'll reduce the speed by a little, and I will copy this waviness node and paste it again, and this time I will change the waviness type to horizontal. This will add this nice subtle waviness effect to our animation, which looks really good. And if you want your animation to look more laggy, like that hand animated feel, you can add a stop motion node after everything, and you can adjust the frame repeat. What this basically means is how many times a single frame should repeat. If I set this to 3, one frame will repeat itself 3 times. So if you increase this, the more laggier your animation will look. But for this animation, I don't want this. So I'll just remove this stop motion node. And that was it. These were a few nodes which you can use to make your animation more addictive and stunning. And that was it. Let me know on which topic you want the next video, and I will see you in the next one.